Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Real Man Be Talking Podcast, and this is your boy Tony Henry.
This is James.
This is BJ.
This is TY.
And this is where every man has a story, and this is ours. BJ, what you got for us, man? Talk to us.
Man, this is going to be a real exciting, down-to-earth couple guys, couple family members, couple cousins just talking about some things that's on our heart. Last episode, we talked about identity, and we talked about how it is important for men to speak identity, to give identity, to exemplify identity. And we talked a little bit about the identity crisis in the world, the culture, what the world is pushing versus what we know the kingdom of God is pushing and what the kingdom of God stands for. And we got into some stuff last episode. If you haven't seen it, please go and watch the previous episode. We talked about some really good things. So this week, we're going to piggyback off of that. Tony, you've been talking about some things during the week that you've experienced, that you've encountered, that's been on your heart. So we're just going to kick it off and give you the floor and share what you got for us, man. Share your real life experience.
Yeah, man, I had a real life experience last week that really, I actually have experienced this twice to me. And I pray that when I say what is on my heart, that my heart is heard, and that there can be some reconciliation. There could be some genuine love that really helps us move forward, and understanding that I'm not here to demean or to look down or to beat up on. I'm really here to be a man in the earth that God created for my nephews, my nieces, my daughter, and to everybody, man. Just I want to be who God created me to be. So last week, man, my wife and I have been going through a serious transition that sometimes can make you feel like you're not even a man in these moments. Mm-hmm. And it'll make you feel like you just, no matter what you're doing, it's like nothing is right. You know what I'm saying? But, we're in a situation right now, and my nephew came over, okay, and he just walked in the house and didn't say nothing to me. And I found it kind of awkward because the last time we encountered each other, we was in the pool, we laughing, Uncle Tony, this, that. And it was just like, did I miss something? I know it's been like maybe a month I haven't seen you, a month or two I haven't seen you. What's going on? So I kind of like let it brush, and I, laughed it off, not thinking nothing of it. And then he came over again the next day, and we was outside, and, he wanted to shoot some hoops with his friends outside. And, and I sat outside with him. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go out there with him, with his friends and things like that. And he was just like, to me, it seemed very rude. When the kid asks you for the ball, like they shooting the ball, you get the ball. He was like, give me the ball. And I was like, well, who you talking to me? Right. Like in my mind, if you want the ball, come get the ball. Say come steal the ball. Mm-hmm. Like that's like I'm competitive like that. But it was more like a give me the ball. Give me the ball. And I'm like, nephew, if you want the ball, come get the ball. Yeah. And then I know that he plays basketball, and that he plays basketball. I think it's for a YMCA or something like that. And I'm like, nephew, he was like, I want to dunk it. So he was trying to dunk it, but he kept hitting the rim. And I was like, you are never going to dunk because you're going off on the wrong foot. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like you're doing it wrong. I can show you. Nah, like he's just sucking his teeth and just like brushing me off. And I'm like, dang, what's going on?
Just
like
missing it.
I'm like, am I doing something wrong? I brushed it off again. So he was like, can we move the goal to the street, or can we lift it up? So I'm holding this goal that has no water in it at all. and I'm letting them play on it, holding it up so they can have fun, whatever the case may be. He walks away from me. He walks away from his friends who shooting, and he went to go talk to another friend. So my brother-in-law was like, "Hey, Tony, you can put something on it." And I was like, "Okay, what you got?" He was like, "I think there's tires inside of the garage." And I was like, "All right, bet, cool. Hey, nephew," I called his name. He ignored me. I called his name again. He ignored me. And then I called his name again, but it was with more authority. And he said, "What? I'm talking to my friend." I was like, "Wait, you've never disrespected me like that before."
Right.
I was like, "I don't care who you talking to. If your uncle calling you, like, hey, yes, sir, what's up, uncle?" And I'm like, "Hey, go to the garage, let the garage up." Then there was, a person there who is considered to be a guardian, who had this attitude like, "What you calling him for? Like, what you doing this for?" And in my mind, I'm like, you should be talking to the child and saying to the child, "Hey, you don't hear your uncle calling you?"
Right.
I'm a little more old school. You know what I'm saying? I'm more of if an adult is calling you, especially a male figure, or even if it's an auntie, an adult is calling you and you're the child, and you're ignoring them. That's a sign of flat out disrespect.
Right.
And so I was like, and I kind of brushed the person off because I'm like, I'm talking to my nephew at this point. Like, you're irrelevant because in this situation, I'm being a man to my nephew, and he needs to understand that what he's doing is wrong. So he goes, let the garage up. I say, "Hey man, go grab the stuff out. I'm gonna come hold this basketball goal up, so I can get the tires and put it on there." Then he's like, "Let's move the goal to the street." I'm like, "All right, cool." So now he's pretending like he's trying to be like this, like trying to figure out who he is in front of this guy, in front of the kids, and he's having a hard time with the goal, and I'm just letting him doing it. Right. Like, "Grace, you want to, whatever, go ahead." We get to go to the middle of the street. Now we in the hood, and in the hood, Negroes drive fast down the street for no reason. And I'm like, man, how about we not just, no, I do it all the time. We always put the goal. All right, cool. I ain't even finna sit here and argue. Boom. So his friends was like, "Yo, let's do a layup, whatever the case may be." I'm like, "Hey, nephew, I can show you how to shoot the ball good to get you a good shot." He literally brushes me off, catches the attitude. "I don't want to learn. I don't want to do this." I'm like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, like where's that coming from?
Like, where is this coming from?
Hey, hold on, he's at your place?
No, we're staying with somebody.
Oh, okay.
So he's visiting his auntie's place.
I got you. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm sitting here like, yo, he's never been disrespectful to me like that. Like putting his hands on his knees, you know what I'm saying? Like just roll, like I'm seeing him like roll his eyes. I'm seeing him like huff and puff. And I'm like, that's not my nephew, because my nephew would never do that to me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "You sure you don't want to learn?" Like, and his friends was like, "I want to learn." I'm like, "All right, cool." So then son just told me to ask him. I said, "Hey, nephew, are we good?" I say, "Nephew, are me and you good? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Did I do something to you? Because if I did, let's rectify that right now, because I want to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward and being a man first, your uncle second."
Mm-hmm.
A man first and your uncle second. So now I told you about a particular person, a person who said something. So my nephew just had his attitude. He walked off to this particular person. This particular person was like, "Why he questioning you? Why all this kind of stuff like that." So I was trying to hold back and not say much at all, but I felt led to go and let this particular person know, who happens to be a female. However, this female wants to be a man. Looks like dresses like a man, you know what I'm saying? Like, sell, they do their thing in the streets, whatever the case may be. They have this persona, they very hood, whatever the case may be. I went to this person, I said, "Hey, listen, whatever I'm talking to my nephew about, that's what I'm talking to him about.
Right.
So it got into like this whole argument of, man, that's my child, this, that. Like, this person got in my face and was like, I thought we was about to bump for a second. But I had to check myself. I'm like, this is a female. Mm-hmm. And this person right here is not even living in their true identity because you're pretending to be something that God didn't create you to be. Mm-hmm. And I had to recognize, and I said, listen, I'm not here to argue with you. Yeah, you say this is your child, but this is my legit nephew.
Yeah.
I raised him since I raised since he was 4 years old. I raised him when he was a baby. He's come to my house and changed his diaper. We both can say the same story, but at the end of the day, none of that matters when a real man is trying to teach this young man about respect. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, in my mind, I'm thinking, if you can do that to me, let's just imagine if you was in the presence of the police. If you was at school and you having this type of attitude, what's going to happen to this kid, to my nephew? You know what I'm saying? And if I'm supposed to be an example to him, why am I, why is this happening? Yeah. And, it's just, I don't know who the F you think he is and all this kind of stuff. Like, man, they don't know what I'm about. Not knowing what I'm about. Mm-hmm. Not knowing that I used to live a life. Mm-hmm. I'm saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized, but I do carry. Right. And this is Florida. Mm-hmm. I can stand my ground. Because at the end of the day, you are considered a threat.
Lady.
You considered a threat. I don't know what you got. I carry. And it really bothered me. And I had put it in our group chat. I was like, I really feel like that we are in a position to where men can't be men to our children anymore or to the community of boys anymore because we're fighting with a community who is pretending to be who we are supposed to be in the community, and our youth is not really benefiting what real men supposed to be. And it hurt me because I'm like, this is my nephew. Yep. And I had this same experience with my biological sister and her son, to where I want to be the man to them. But what happens when you are a man and you're in the presence of your nieces and nephews, but they go home to chaos? They go home and they don't have a stable father in the home. Or if there is a man in the home, that man ain't a man. Yeah. Right. What do you do? And how do you handle when the mothers literally attack you for actually being a man in their kid's life? Mm-hmm. And I was just really baffled because I'm like, and I also put in the group chat, like, is this generation too far gone for us to reach as men? Because what I experienced that day was a real deal identity crisis between my nephew and the person that claimed to be their guardian at that moment. And I'll say this one last thing. I also experienced this when I was a kid. I seen this happen to my Uncle Barry. I've seen where he disciplined my little brother, and my mom did not like it. Mm-hmm. But Uncle Barry's heart wasn't in a malicious way. Mm-hmm. And I seen Uncle Barry, we had a whole family meeting about it. We did. And I've never seen, I'm being so honest right now, I've never seen my Uncle Barry cry.
Tears.
Real tears of hurt. I seen my Uncle Barry be weak in the moment where he's supposed to be strong. Because, and this is no plight to my mother at all, no malice or anything, but I knew Uncle Barry's heart wasn't to beat my little brother like that. He was being bad. His daddy is in jail. Uncle Bear is the only man. He beat me. He beat BJ. And when I saw that, I literally was like, I don't want to experience that in my time where I'm being emasculated.
That's exactly what it is.
When I should be masculine. So I want to say this to my sister who I love so much, man. I'm quite sure you heard a version of this story. My heart towards my nephew is very, very pure. And I only want the best for my nephew. I know I haven't been around as much. I know we haven't talked as much. But when I'm around my nephew, I only want the best for him and his future. I want him to be the man that God created him to be, not what he was birthed into. We were all born in sin and shaping in iniquity, but we wasn't created in that. And when God created your son, my nephew, he created him whole. He created him bright. He created him smart. He created him intelligent. And it's up to us to work together to mold that and shape that so that way he can actually be the man that God has called him to be. So that was my real life story for last week. And let's just stay right there, because is this generation too far to reach?
No.
Are they too far gone?
Never. They're not. And I know that it's a tough conversation to have, and it can look that way, but it's not them. It's the adults. And the adults are driving this crazy bus and pushing an agenda onto the children. The children are never gone. The children love discipline. Children naturally have a desire to be in order. Chaos is a part of their life. They need order in order for them to succeed in life. All you have to do is provide them with a level of understanding and drive them toward that, and they will follow. They will, because they love. Children absolutely adore order. They just do. When there's chaos, you can tell that they don't feel comfortable in it. They look and they act uncomfortable. They're acting out because they want order. When you give them order, you provide them with that stability, their life is improved greatly. All you have to do is take some time and teach a child how to do something and watch them. Watch the level of joy that they have. You can take the most chaotic child ever, and you take them and you teach them something, and you show them how to improve themselves. Their life changes completely because they can see that they have the ability to do something other than drama and all of the other nonsense that's going on. When they see that, I just taught my kids how to tie their shoes. You should have saw their face, because they've been walking around with their shoes untied, waiting for someone else to do it for them. Now they can sit down and do their own, tie their own shoe. Their life is totally different. Mentally, they like, I can go tie my own shoe. And they talk about it. You want to see me tie my shoe? You want to see it? You want to see me?
Right.
Watch this.
Let me untie it. Let me untie it.
Right. It's
Watch
pride.
this.
It's pride.
Watch this. I'm on my shoe is untied. Watch this. I'm gonna show you how I can tie my shoe. They love it. So no, they're not. They're not going at all.
So in that instance though, so what if your children are raised in a house of order. What do you do when the child is in a place of disorder and you're on the outside? And you can't step over the biological parent or whoever's in.
You can, but you have to do it very, very
That's a fine line.
delicately. It is.
I'm telling you, man.
Some of the most successful people in the world are in chaotic situations, but you know what they end up in? Sports. Sports is another level of order.
And discipline. Yep.
Oh yeah, they love it. They absolutely adore it. Whether they want to go and run 2 days, 4 days, and do all of the extra calisthenics and stuff, they don't want to do the calisthenics, but it's a level of order for them. That's why a lot of people that end up in military, they come from a chaotic world. They don't come from a level of order. But from that, you get a man. A man is birthed out of that situation. They love it. They're not gone. We just need to make sure that our voices, the voice that has the order, he's crying. Uncle Barry is crying because he understands that they are in chaos. They need order. He needed your brother needed order, right? She was hurt. He wasn't. The boy wasn't hurt. Only she was.
Yeah, I know.
That's good, man.
That
was. Go ahead, Jay.
I mean, you said a whole lot when you were talking, and we kind of were talking off camera about my son, and he's not my biological son, but I've been helping raise him since he was about 4 years old. And there's moments where, as the man of the house, I can see things in him that need to be corrected. And early on, when I was raising him and being married, it's like, okay, I need to watch that border. I don't want to overstep. And it's like you, as a man in yourself, you still want that respect. You still want that honor because I'm the man of the house. You're still in the position of son. I'm position of father. And when you don't get it, we have to be careful how we respond sometimes too. So I've had to deal with that at toddler age, teenage age. He's 17 now. And there are times where it's just you hurt as a man because you really want to help them. Like it's coming from a good place. And you're wanting to be intentional about giving instruction and giving that discipline. And sometimes they don't understand it. And there was a time where I remember when he was really young, I had to spank him for the first time because the kids, like you said, they need discipline and they will basically push you to that limit, and once you kind of spank them or whatever the case may be, you discipline them, then they kind of get in order and things like that. But it's a hurtful place when you're searching for respect and you just want to teach the next generation that same respect. And it does hurt. So I feel what you're saying.
I literally found myself, man, just all week, just how can I get past this? How can I move forward? And how can, when we do come together and talk about this, what solutions we can come up with as men for other men who could be facing. I saw a video, man, of a dude who broke up with his girlfriend because the boy was so bad.
I saw that.
You saw that?
I did.
And she literally was just like, he's a child, he's this. And I'm like, here's a question. Do we hold mothers accountable, or we're just not going to hold mothers accountable for...
When you say mothers, you're talking about single mothers.
Single mothers, the mothers who have kids and they're in relationship with another man that is not that's not the father of the biological father of their child. Are we going to hold the mothers accountable and say, hey, I know this is your child, but you need to tell your child to respect me. So that way we on the same page when it comes to this. I don't feel like it's enough of holding single mother or mothers or women who are mothers accountable with their kids?
Well, it's very difficult to frame that because you have emotion, right?
I understand the emotion part. I get all that. No, I'm saying
the difference between the man and the woman, right? The masculine energy is about logic. We talked about this.
We did.
First episode, right? And the feminine energy is all primarily emotion. Their emotion is going to run wild because this is their child. This came out of them. And you have that same experience when you had a child yourself. Our emotional capabilities grew outside of logic when we had our own children. You can all agree, right? When you have your own child coming out of being a stepdad to your own child, your life changed.
Right.
Whether you can recognize that or not is a matter of thinking. But when you have this person that comes from your own loins, you think different about that child. So it's definitely a more nuanced conversation that needs to be had with the parent, the biological parent, right? Which is the mother in this case. And you can only pray and hope that, maybe the father's involved in this situation, because then you can actually have real change, because the biological father has all authority to discipline. And you can pray and hope that he is a discipliner.
Yeah.
But if he's not involved, then you have to make this conversation very detailed with the woman up front. Hey, look, you have kids. Okay, fine. How do you handle discipline? Because if we are going to move forward, we have to have order. And with order comes discipline. I don't want to do anything to disrespect you, but I do want to make sure, number one, that I get respected, because that's how I feel loved as a man. I feel loved when you respect me. All of that emotional stuff, that's cool, but I feel loved when you respect me. And you have a child. So if your child is not respecting me and you therefore do not correct, which we saw in the video, right?
Yeah, that
the child in the background basically throwing the man middle fingers like, yeah, you can't, you ain't, and she's never corrected the child once in the situation. So you talking about not just disrespect from the child, but no correction from the mother.
Yeah, it has to be both.
It has to.
So how did that work for you? How did that work for you? I'm gonna ask both of you this question, because you're both in this situation to where you both walked into a situation to where you have stepchildren. How was that conversation for you guys moving forward in the relationships that you're currently in? Because I didn't experience that.
Yeah,
and I know you two have experienced that, and you're well off into where you guys are now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump out and just say that respect is earned. When I talked about the situation where, when he was a child, I think he was like 4 or 5 years old, and he was, just kind of bucking up. And, I got on the phone with his mom. I'm like, he really trying me right now. Like, I want to, spank him, but that was like, I've never done it before, and I'm watching him. She was at work. So I'm on the phone and she's like, no, you need to spank him. We basically aligned with what needed to happen. And, I didn't like hang up the phone and then spank him. I had to have conversations and, I had to get over that. But I think at that point, respect is earned. And then what I have to do then is continue to earn that respect. Like he knows that, okay, I have the ability to spank him. He's going to respect that. He knows that his mom is on the same page with me spanking him. And then to add to that, his biological father is on the same page as well. So for me, that was a blessing, outside of this conversation. But once her and I aligned on, hey, this is what needs to happen, then from there, that just continued. And then it was just a respect level.
It was communication.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I called her like, hey, look, this is what's happening. Yeah. I know what I want to do, but I'm going to ask you first.
That was like perfect communication all the way across the board with the both biological parents and yourself. And
yeah, that's amazing that the father was on board. Like,
you're in a situation where, number one, you're not the biological father, but you need to make sure that discipline is happening in the house.
Right.
If communication isn't there, then you have a problem, which is what the guy ran into. There was no communication in that case. So,
and I want you to speak, but there have been times as he's gotten older to where, because I'm a man and, you know, I might be going through my own personal things, that I might come off too strong. And my wife, she will, okay, I hear what you're saying to him. I'm going to let you do that. But we need to have a conversation now of, all right, maybe you took it a little too far. And then there's, okay, let me go talk to him as a man and, you know, right my wrong, because maybe I did say something the wrong way, or, you know, I just didn't handle it the right way. So at a young age, I've seen it, and at an older age.
Okay. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, so it's both.
So how did you take that conversation when she came and said that you did something wrong? Did you feel like you was wrong, or did you accept it, or you were just like, you know, because most men would not have felt like they were wrong if it was presented to them. So did you ever feel like, hey, no, I'm right?
Yeah, there were times where it's like, no, he needed to hear that, and that was what needed to happen and take place, because you're not going to do it and I need to do it. But I also, like I said, I have to check myself, like, okay, was I in the right place when I came to him and tried to correct him? Was I correcting him out of the right place? Was I correcting him out of like what he did? Was it really that serious, or was it something like my past trauma or something that was coming out? You know, I have to do that kind of, you know, self-reflection. And there was a lot of moments where I would do that. And from that place, I'm coming and talking to you as a man now, because, hey, this wasn't right. And I'm sharing with you my heart again, because I don't want you to either be how I was, or I want you to see why I'm coming at you that way. So yeah, it's a journey, man, to be kind of on the outside of that. But I've learned from it with my own kids. You know, I take those examples and, you know, just try to do better with my own kids.
BJ, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm very young into my journey, so we're still working through that. And a difference is my stepchild is a girl. She's a daughter, you know. So it's a different level of discipline. I have to tread a line of being sensitive. So more often than not, I will have to look at the mother to be like, hey, you know, woman to woman, female to female, you know, you have to connect her. Now, there are times where I want to do more, and even, kudos to my wife. There are times where she's like, hey, you can go ahead and say this. Or,
communication. Yeah,
and then it's like, okay, cool. And then I have that door to say a little bit more in those moments. And then there are times where I probably say something and maybe I, raise my voice a little bit too hard. And then there are times where she'd be like, hey, that was probably too hard on her. So we're still in that we're still on that journey of what's right, what's a little bit too much. This is a young girl. She's 10, entering, turning 11, preteen years. So it's still a journey for me. So hearing y'all stories is really blessing me, to be honest, because this is giving me insight on how to tread that line. Because I've seen, like you said, that story with my dad and your mother, and I've seen how my dad had to humble himself and had to kind of take the weaker, stance. And I'm like, man, I don't want to do that. But I get it, because if you don't feel like you have the parents' full blessing as a man of God, you don't want to, I'm not going to disrespect the mother just to make my point and put my chest out and beat the kid and all this stuff. I'm going to still honor you as the mother, so I will kind of take the humble route or whatever. So that's tough. That's real tough.
Yeah, that moment has always been stitched in me.
I remember that moment. Man.
I especially when, oh Lord, like my nephew from my sister, you know, he's raised with a bunch of girls, and you know, and my sister, if I was to talk to her now, she will literally say, you know, she's made some decisions that she's not proud of, which we all can say that, you know what I'm saying, and but I've always come with the approach to, I don't want you to end up in jail. I don't want you to end up crossing the wrong person. And I don't want you to end up dead because of your attitude, and you cannot control your emotions because you're in a home that's full of emotions all day, every day. And I think we touched on that in, I want to say the first episode, first or second one, to where our boys, like they in homes with straight females, women, their mothers, their sisters, their aunties, their grandmas. And, you know, I've been in a house where my grandmother, not our late grandmother, but my other grandmother, where she just gossiping all day. You know, she going hard, all just that, and you like, what in the world? And then you find yourself doing that because there's nobody in the home to say, hey, woman, hush. We ain't talking like that. You know what I'm saying? Or, nah, calm that down. We're not doing that. So, you know, to see a lot of the youth that's out here who don't have that stability in the homes, it's like, I really, really want to see our youth who are fatherless be fathered. But most importantly, I want to see the women say, I want my sons to be fathered because I can't do this.
Yeah.
You know, the past 60 plus years, the mothers have already took on something very heavy by kicking the man out the home to bring in the government. And that has perpetuated throughout generations and after generation and after generation. And it's like, when is it going to come to a point to where we literally start holding each other accountable and say, hey, man, listen, I ain't opening up my legs to you. And for the men, I ain't finna just lay down with you, with anybody, and just create a kid just because we emotionally ramped up trying to get a nut. No, like, let's make some real deal decisions because there's kids out here who was hurting. They're hurting. They're crying out. I was that kid who was crying out for my father. You know what I'm saying? And still never met my dad a day in my life. And we don't need to keep perpetuating that. So I'm just like,
yeah, I would just encourage you, even in that, Tony, just to continue to be intentional about speaking into his life and the lives of others as well. You know, just hearing the story of your dad, BJ, and something like that can really make you get into like a shell to where, okay, I'm getting this from what I'm trying to do something good, so I'm not going to do it at all because you're coming at me and making what I did seem like it was wrong, so you won't do it again. But we still have to remain intentional. So like even in those moments where I might come off strong with my son and my wife and I would talk about it, okay, I hear what you're saying, but that's not going to stop me from the next time to correct whatever I need to correct. So we still have to be intentional. We're not always going to get it right, but we can always be intentional. And the conversation that you can have with him of, hey, maybe I didn't do it or say it the right way, that touches his heart as well. You know, I know you want the respect from him, but again, we earn it by having that conversation on the back end of, hey, this is what I meant by that. You know, this is where I'm at. This is what I wanted to teach you. And that's what they connect to as well. So we still have to remain intentional about what we're doing as men to the youth.
And I want to change that mindset with the respect is earned. It's not. Respect is given, and then it is maintained, and that's it. There is no earning respect. We don't disrespect people for the sake of disrespecting people. period. So when somebody comes to you, are you going to choose to disrespect them, or are you going to give them respect? Because they can't earn your respect. They don't know you.
That's true.
Right? And I think that if you change that one word from earn to given, that's a responsibility on both people.
Everybody, yeah.
And then you can call out the person that's not giving respect. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And that's across the board. That's going to save a lot of lives, I believe, because people have this mindset, which we've been taught. Oh, you got to earn my respect. No, I'm giving you respect. You should give me respect back.
Right.
Because I'm giving you respect. Now, we live in a reciprocal world, right? So if somebody brings you disrespect, it's kind of natural for you to want to give back disrespect, because we live in reciprocation. Natural. But if you give respect generally, you're going to get respect back. So I think that we should change that mindset from earning respect to giving respect in that situation, like
That's
you
good.
just said, where you resolve the issue. We don't want to hide in this shell, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to stop providing this natural desire to provide love and assistance to this person because somebody tried to correct you, right? You just need to come with a different approach, which is what you're saying. And that's giving respect. Like, hey, you know what? That's my fault. I might not have come at it correctly the first time, but I have another approach. Hey, look, that was my fault, man. I wanted to make sure that I kept you alive. And the way that you were being disrespectful, that's not going to keep you alive. It's just not. And they can respect that. Now you're just giving them respect. They're going to give you respect back. It's a natural thing. We want to reciprocate.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, man. That's good.
I mean, even to the point where the guardian conversation, respect is given on both sides too. Because, hey, I'm the uncle, you the guardian, but we can respect both each other's position and give that respect as well. And that,
a lot of the stuff that we deal with in life is just perspective. That's it. And oftentimes, because we're dealing in this, what is it? Perspective versus perspective. I forgot the other word. It'll come to me in a second, but
you'll tweet it out.
It'll come with me. Don't even worry about it. But we're living in this perspective world where we have a difficult time looking at things objectively. We live in a very subjective world, and everybody talks about things as a subject and not objectively. This is how we get the man versus woman argument, because it's all about subject. It's nothing objective being said in those arguments. They're just talking about subjects, period. And so I lost my point. I'm going to keep moving on.
perspective.
But yeah, perspective.
Respect is given.
Respect is given, and perspective is everything. So if you have this situation where somebody is coming at you disrespectful, you can change the perspective in that situation and say, you know what? Maybe they just don't understand who I am. Maybe I just need to communicate with them and let them know, hey, look, you love them. Yes, I love them too. I want to see them safe. You want to see them safe too.
Yeah.
Now we can stop coming at each other.
So what if that's not the case?
What's not the case?
What if there's no mutual understanding? We were talking about what if, so we're all striving to be kingdom men.
Correct.
We're coming from a place, I want to respect you, but what do you do when the other side doesn't have that value system where they've been taught by the world, they've been raised by, Tony just brought up how women have been, a certain way for the last 60 years as politics and government. So politics, government, et cetera, entertainment, media has shaped a generation of adults now who see world. Their perspective is, I'm not trying to give you respect. I'm trying to, you're going to respect me and you're going to have to earn my respect. So they're not going to let you discipline their son if they don't feel like you're doing it the way they want you to do it.
Understood. And I got the other word. It was perception versus perspective.
Okay.
So yeah, I understand exactly. You have to find a middle ground. It's very difficult to do that today. Like I said, we live in very subjective. You have to bring somebody to an objective piece, which is that middle ground. Hey, look, do you love them? You do. I love them too. Do you want what's best for them? I want what's best for them too.
Right.
We can start to negotiate this situation together so that we grow in this situation together. Hey, look, you love them. I love them too. You want what's best for them. I'm not here to degrade this person. I'm sure you're not either. And because you aren't in this situation where you are degrading, and we're growing together and we're loving on each other, we automatically start to become more, I guess, grounded in our conversation. So we might be in confrontation up front. But as I start to break down these questions to you and we start to agree, because when we get into a level of agreeance with each other, our
guard comes down.
Our tension comes down automatically because we are in agreement. There is no reason for us to be at odds with each other because we agree. You love them, I love them too. You care about them, I care about them too. I'm not here to degrade this person. I'm here to grow this person. And once we can come to that mutual understanding, we can have reciprocation. Now we have growth and we have communication. And we have love. And we have everything. It's like
love.
Ultimately, we want to make sure that whoever we're trying to help gets the help.
Yeah.
But do you have to win every battle?
You don't. I wouldn't. Honestly, it's not a. Is it a win if the person still is hurting? You don't win. It's not a winning battle. Your job is to make sure that the person that you're trying to help gets the help because they want it. Yeah. He wants the help. He's not acting out because he doesn't want help. He's acting out because he wants help and he needs you to recognize it. So you were absolutely right to be like, what's going on? What's the problem? Have I done anything? Because you need to know that because it might be a misunderstanding. Somebody might have told him something that's not true. And he's running off of this false information thinking that he knows the truth and he doesn't even know.
And I'll say this. I was talking with my sister-in-law and she was saying that, you know, we always talk about like, is this generation too far gone? Are they lost? And I think sometimes we forget that the children are watching everything. Like, you know, I remember when I was young, you know, I would watch my parents and my aunts and uncles and what they were doing, you know, and it wasn't like I wasn't aware. Like I see, okay, y'all getting ready to go to the club, you know, so I know what the club is, you know, or I know what drinking looks like, you know, all of those things I see. You know, either multiple women or multiple men. Like I see these things, so I know what you're trying to tell me. But this is what I see. And even for us, the kids know what we're trying to tell them, but what are they actually seeing? You know, so maybe he was, you know, your nephew saw some things on his side, you know, to where he has something in him that he's seen, and I don't respect you as a man because I don't respect, you know, this man or whatever the case may be. But we have to keep that in mind. Like the kids are always watching, you know, so are they too far gone is always going to be a question. Like what are we showing them that they can see? So when she said that, like, I was just like, wow, like, cause I remember what I saw growing up and, you know, we just try to change that in what we show our children growing up.
Man, this is
respect is given to yourself as well. So if you don't give yourself respect, people won't respect you either.
Tyrell is dropping bombs tonight.
That's true. Now you talked about the man and the woman laying down and all that.
If you don't respect yourself, you really cannot expect somebody to respect you. They're not going to respect you.
That's true.
Because you don't respect yourself.
You're giving off non-respect. Wow.
Tarell is dropping.
Somebody done turned his mic up and he started talking.
Right.
Hear myself.
He been projecting real good tonight.
Trying to make sure y'all can hear me
We
today.
can hear you. You talking.
Man, I really do appreciate this conversation because we are literally, I believe personally, we are at war, like and for our children, especially when you have the 20% of the alphabet. You have all these different things that's going on. We have music. We have television. They're putting so many things in our children's faces and in our faces that we can't even. It's hard for us. It's hard for us to.
What they putting in our faces?
Huh?
What they putting in our faces?
Everything.
They putting everything, man. It's so bad to where, as a parent, I taught my daughter the truth. I tell her the truth that hey, men and women, God created man and female. That's who He created. You know what I'm saying? And man and man are not supposed to be together, and woman are not supposed to be together. Mm-hmm. And I tell her the truth. It doesn't benefit anything, and it literally distorts who God called us to be or created us to be. So when you watch these things in your movies and on TV, just know that's not right. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even make sense. You feel uncomfortable when you watch it. Like I see my shoe like, why are they doing that? Mm-hmm. But she can ask that question because she doesn't see her parents. She see what we do. Mm-hmm. So when she see anything the complete opposite of that, it's like, wait, that don't make any sense to me. But we're living in a society that is making it okay and saying, oh no, this is okay. And it's like, no, this is not okay. Mm-hmm. And we're literally at war right now because it's like, what do you do in this situation where you have kids, you're teaching them the truth. Hey, a man is a man. And a woman is a woman, and now they go to school, and the school is literally have books, and they're showing videos, and they're doing all these things that's going the complete opposite of what you're teaching. What do you do in this situation?
Identity crisis. Mm-hmm. It's a tough conversation because I think we go back to generational blessings, right? What we talked about before, and I think that we have to put ourselves in a communication of understanding about fruit and trees and how trees work and why those trees are important to produce fruit. And that's for any relationship. If there is no fruit coming from it, then the tree's going to get struck down. It is what it is. It's just what it is. It's no disrespect. It's just reality.
But how do you? I mean,
how do we handle that?
Just because at this point you can have, like let's say a woman that is with a woman and she gets pregnant, mm-hmm. and there's fruit. Like, so how do you still explain that to a child? I mean, I didn't mean to. I'm just saying because that's what they see. That's what you see.
Your mama slipped out, and she got some thing. That's what I would have to say.
But
you got to tell the truth.
Even harder than that.
Yeah,
our kids today they go to school with friends whose parents might be the same sex.
Right.
So on one end, you want to teach your children love, treat everybody right, and on the other end, you want to tell them, but that's wrong. Mm-hmm. Right. How do we do that?
I think what you just said was it. You just communicate with them.
That's what I did. I
communicating with your children are very smart. Mm-hmm. The children are very intelligent. So I think that just letting them know exactly what's going on, the children are going to make their own choices regardless. period. Like there's nothing that we can really do to change the choices that they make in their future. But what we can do is shape their present. We can shape that all day long, and then in the future they won't depart from it. Mm-hmm. They just won't. They're gonna follow that teaching, especially if it's sound teaching that's gonna help them grow. If it's not sound, then they're gonna depart from it and they'll never come back because there's nothing for them to have. Period.
I taught my daughter. I told her the truth. Like I said, I told her the flat out truth. My wife told her the truth. Like we was straight on about that. Like, hey, and I use the fruit narrative. I say, if you have a seed and you put it in the ground, what are you going to expect? And she said, and I think I used like a apple tree. You're going to expect apples, right? But if you just put a log in there with what are you going to get? Nothing. So seed, it's the what we were just talking about. Anything that has a seed goes into a ground, it's going to grow. When a man and woman get together, man has seed, woman has ground. Something's gonna come out of that ground. Mm-hmm. That's the only way, and that's the truth. I'm not saying it doesn't matter what the world says and what they're trying to make comfortable. And the scary thing that we're in right now is that government is pushing this stuff. Our government currently right now is pushing this stuff, and they're encouraging and they're going after parents who are speaking up against this stuff. And it's making it that much harder for us in this generation of time to speak to our children because, like you said, our kids got to go to school and they got to fight against this.
Yeah.
Like now our kids got to be bullied by kids who are being taught wrong.
Irony, right?
And it's like, but if we are strong, if we're strong parents and we're strong in our belief, we're strong in the word, and we teaching our children what's right, man, they will stick. My daughter, she's strong. Oh, that girl's strong. Let me tell you. Mm-hmm. She'll flat out tell you straight up, that ain't cool. That don't make no sense.
Yeah.
And that's because we instilled at her. So when y'all get there, y'all gotta stand firm in that.
Yeah, and I think that obviously everything will come back to just constant communication, letting them know that I'm here to support you and to help you grow. I'm not going to provide you with information or do anything against you. What I'm doing is for you, and it's here to help you grow. If there's anything that I'm saying to you that you feel like is not going to help you grow, let me know so that I can explain it to you. And when you do, your children will be very appreciative. My kids are only 10, 8, and 5, but they understand exactly what I'm telling them every single time. And they go, "Oh, so this is the reason why you're doing that. Okay, so you're not upset with us. You just want us to be safe." Yes, I do. That's exactly what I want. I want you to be okay. Because if you're not okay, I'm not okay. I cannot function in my fatherhood if you're not okay. I need you to be okay.
Yeah, I do that to my daughter all the time. I'm consistently asking her, "Is everything okay? Mm-hmm. What's on your mind? You want to talk?" And my daughter is at that age now to where she really don't want to talk to daddy like she used to. And she talks to her mother, so her mother has to come to me and tell me certain stuff. And then I gotta my wife just got on me the other day, and she was just like, "Babe, when I tell you stuff, don't bring it up to her." I'm like, "But I want to know. I want to know what my daughter feels. I really want to know how my child feels because I don't feel comfortable as a man knowing that my daughter out here hurting and she got something on her heart and she can't explain that to me." But I realized that because I show her truth, I speak truth to her, and she knows that my heart is pure towards her, that everything is good. But I know for a fact that we are at war and we got to do something.
But your wife is right about that.
Yeah, she is.
Because what you don't want,
Confidential.
what you don't want is your child to stop talking
to her.
because she don't feel like it's a safe place.
She over there like,
Amen.
She needs to have a safe place to
Say it
talk
loud.
to spare. The good news is she gonna come and talk to you. She just don't feel comfortable talking to you right now because she's going through all of these changes that she don't understand, and she know her mama understand it.
Yeah.
She
Different
do.
season.
Oh yeah, but once that initial thing is over, she's gonna come and run her mouth to you because she ain't gonna want to stop talking. Cause especially if you talk to her, if you just keep talking to her, eventually she gonna come and be running her mouth to you. But right now, no, you need to let her talk to her mama.
Yeah, I just want to read one scripture before we all wrap up. So Deuteronomy 6, verse 4, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them upon the post of thy house and on thy gates. And I read that because we have to be intentional still. Every single day when we talk about what do we need to change, we need to continue to instill the word of God into our children. We need to, as different things come up, as conversations happen, as we go through different things, we need to continue to touch their hearts and fill their hearts with the word of God. Keep it in the front of our minds, keep it in the front of their minds, because the world is going to continue to change, but the word doesn't change. It stays the same, and we need to ground them in that for ourselves and for them. So just want to give that as some encouragement.
oh, that's good. Man, this is a great episode, man. I'm really excited about this one. What y'all think?
Appreciate you jumping out there.
I think it's a good one.
I think this is a good one too.
I think it's a good one. And not just piggybacking on that verse, that, I mean, our people, I just pray for our people, minorities, blacks. Like, you know, it's still our job as kingdom people, kingdom men, especially, to be the voice of our homes and of this generation. We don't do ourselves no favors these days with how we vote and who we put in office and the agendas that certain people have and what they push. But at the end of the day, you know, that scripture just speaks. It is still our job to be the safeguard of our homes and be the main voices to our children. So even with all the mess that's going on in the world, you know, it is still our responsibility.
But what if you're a kingdom and you're still voting for unkingdom-minded people? You're still aligning yourself with people that go against what you absolutely believe in, all in the name of equality. What do? When you're a black man in America and you have to hear black men always complaining and standing up for things that go against the black community, and which makes it that much harder for the black community to even progress, which can also make it seem as if our children in our community is too far gone to be reached. What do? Boy, this is going to be a great conversation next week.
That's the topic. Let's do it.
Because I really want to know.
Yeah.
What do?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
To be continued.
For real. Hey, man, this is your boy Tony, man. This has been a phenomenal episode. We truly appreciate you rocking out with us tonight. Listen, if you are not following us on Instagram, man. Go to Real Man Be Talking Podcast and hit the follow button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, man. And let's help get our numbers up so that way we can become monetized. We can grow this thing and go further because we have some great ideas. There's some things that we all want to do with this. And I truly believe that what we are doing, man, God is going to get the glory and people's lives are going to be absolutely changed, and it's going to spark some great conversations. But before we exit this episode, man, listen, if you don't know God, if you don't know Jesus Christ, man, this is the time for you. I'm talking about the perfect time for you to get saved, man. If you do not know the Lord, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, man, all you got to do is confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus was saved and he died for you. You can be saved. You can be saved. That's and guess what? All that stuff about trying to be perfect, we can work all that stuff out later.
Come as you are.
Come and give God your life so that way you can live a life that glorifies God and that literally takes you to a whole nother level. So I pray that this episode has blessed you. This is Real Man Be Talking Podcast, where every man has a story. And this is ours. Peace.
Cut.